So it's not just a frail old man. He was actually a very strong and powerful man. So yes, it was. Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about 7 life lessons that we can learn from the movie Squid Games. And I know some of you might be wondering, what is Squid Games? What is she talking about? Don't worry, I'm going to explain. But before I do that, if this is your first time of coming to my channel and you like videos like this, then please subscribe, turn on your bell icon, and I'll be more than happy to have you as part of my family. Okay, so recently I saw a post on YouTube about the movie called Squid Games, lessons to learn from Squid Games. I saw a couple of videos and then I went to the internet. I was curious, I wanted to learn about it. I wanted to know what it was about. And there was so much reviews, so many positive reviews about it. There were some negative reviews about it. And I thought, you know what? Let's watch this movie and see what it's about. So I went on Netflix and I watched the movie. So basically, this movie was about a group of people that were all in debt. So they were all in debt and they were invited to compete in some kid games so that they can win the sum of $46.5 billion. So there were about 465 people and only one person was going to win this money. They came into the place prepared to play this game, whatever it was they needed to do so they can win this money. After the first round, they realized that it wasn't just a kids game, there was more to it, that people's lives were going to be lost. They decided that majority of them decided that they weren't going to continue playing the game. However, they came back because they realized that being out and being in here playing the game, it was equally bad for them. Okay, so majority of them came back to continue with the game. Okay, so however, I'm just going to talk about some of the lessons that I picked out from the movie. And the first one for me is that we have a choice. And you can see that with these people, they were allowed to go out, but they made a choice to come back. So initially they decided to come in because they didn't know what it was about, but even though they knew what it was about, they went out and they still came back in. Okay, so they made a choice to come back in. So we all have a choice in life. Whatever decisions we make, we have a choice. Okay, we have a choice to make the right decisions. We have the choice to make the wrong decisions. Okay, sometimes we tell ourselves, oh no, I didn't have a choice, I have to do it. You doing that thing is you making a choice as well. Okay, and my one tip from this is that when we make choices, let's make sure we think about our choices correctly and make the right decisions, bearing in mind that every decision we make has consequences. Okay, so that's the first lesson that I'm going to draw out from this movie. And the second lesson that I picked out from this movie is the fact that we all have a motive. Okay, so we all have a motive for doing whatever we do, and when we have a motive, we can go as far as we can. Okay, and I did a video before where I talked about your why. Okay, so your why is your motive behind everything you do. Your why is your motive for starting a business, for starting a course, for doing exercise. So if you have a strong enough motive, you'll be able to go a long way. You'll be able to go all the way. But if your motive is, if your why is not strong enough, then you might not be able to go all the way. Okay, all the people in this movie, they all had a motive. They were all in debt. The lead actor in this movie was Gion. Okay, so Gion had his mom, his aged mother, who was suffering with diabetes. Okay, he also had his daughter who was 10 years old, living with his ex-wife and her husband. Okay, and we're planning to travel to America, to the US. Okay, and he wanted to have access to his child, but he didn't have money. He was living in debt. He was into gambling and all that. He didn't have a good life, so he didn't have access to his child as much. So his motive was to go in there, get the money so that he can have access to his child and also be able to help treat his mom. That was why he went. The other people had they had their own motives as well, but majority of them, like I said, were in debt. They wanted it for one reason or the other. So we all have a motive. Your motive is really important for anything you do. That will determine how far you can go to achieve the particular goal. Okay, and the third lesson I'll draw out for you is desperation. So desperation will give you results. Okay, so how desperate you are will determine how far you will go for a particular thing, and it ties in closely with your motive as well. So you might have a motive, but you're not desperate, and you might not get what you want. Okay, so you might be comfortable with where you are, okay, and then you won't get a result. But if you are desperate, you will get a result. Okay, and I use myself as an example. I got to a place in my life where I was so broke. My relationship was broken. I lost my house. I lost every single thing. I had to start afresh. And I told myself, you know what? I can't remain in this position. And when you become desperate, you begin to have ideas, you begin to think. Okay, you think like, okay, what can I do? How can I make my life better? That's when you begin to think about options. But if you're not desperate, if you're comfortable, then you might never be able to come out of the position you're in. Okay, when we talk about desperation as well, there's positive desperation and there's negative desperation. So when I'm talking about desperation, I'm not talking about desperation that will make you do bad things. Okay, I'm talking about a positive desperation. And someone said we succeed either by inspiration or by desperation. Okay, some people are inspired, and because they're inspired, they will go ahead and do something. But some people become successful because they are a lot of people become successful because they are desperate. Okay, and I use another example. I'll use Lisa Nichols. Okay, so she's a speaker, a motivational speaker as well. She became desperate because she wanted to look after her son. And because she was in a really difficult position, she said, no, I can't remain in this position. She got up, and look at her story today. It's completely different. So desperation is really important. However, the fourth lesson is have a limit, have boundaries when you are desperate. Okay, and that's where we talk about negative desperation. Okay, so you want to have a limit to your desperation. Some people are desperate, they will do anything at all to get what they want. That's not what I'm talking about if it's in the negative. Okay, so these people in this movie, they were all desperate because they were in debt. They wanted a new life, they wanted a chance to live a better life, they wanted something new, and they were desperate to end their lives, to put their lives on the line just because they wanted a way out. Okay, so they came in, they saw that this place was a matter of life and death, but because they were so desperate, they put their lives on the line just because they wanted to get a result. Okay, so however, the point I'm trying to make is have a limit, set boundaries, and know that, okay, no, I can't do this. Some people go into fraud, some people go into prostitution, people do all kinds of things just because they are desperate to come out of their situation. That's not what we're talking about. What I'm saying is have boundaries. So don't go into something that's wrong just because you are desperate. Don't put your life on the line just because you are desperate. Okay, so that's really, really important. Fifth lesson that I draw from this movie is the fact that things are not always what they seem. Okay, so these people came into the house, into the playground, thinking that, okay, it was just children's game, but once they got there, they realized that, oh, it's not just children's game, there's more to it. Okay, so things are not always what they seem. And this guy in question, the lead actor Gyeon, came into the house. He had a friend, well, his childhood friend. They grew up together, and his mom told him just before he came into the place that his son, which is Gyeon's friend, was out on a business trip in the US. The mom was so proud of him, like, oh, my son is this, he's doing very well, he's a scholar, he's this. So even Gyeon was proud of his friend, okay, and because his friend was doing so well. Okay, but when he got to the place, he saw his friend in that same house. Okay, so his friend was there, and he was surprised, like, I thought you were this, I thought you were that, I thought you were successful, I thought you were living the life. Okay, but the friend said, no, I'll tell you all about it. Okay, so life is not always what it seems. Another example from that movie was an old man which Gyeon met in the house. Okay, so this man was really, really old. He had a tumor in his brain. He was very, very fragile, very, very, very weak. But Gyeon said, okay, you know what? Gyeon made a friendship with him, and they became friends, and he was trying to help the guy, to support him, okay, because he was obviously an old man. Okay, but when they came out of the house, Gyeon realized that this old man was actually the one facilitating the program. So he was actually the host. So it's not just a frail old man. He was actually a very strong and powerful man. So yes, he was frail and old. Yes, he had tumor in his brain, but he was also a very powerful man, powerful enough to organize this kind of thing for people to come and risk their lives in. Okay, so life is not always what the same, and it's the same with us in life. Sometimes you're looking at someone and you feel like, oh, this person has got everything in life. You're looking at people and you're saying, okay, this person has this person has that. You don't know what they are going through. You don't know the real story behind their success. You don't know what their life is about. And I did a video recently when I talked about stop comparing yourself with others, because we all have our journeys. Don't compare yourself, because what you see might not necessarily be the reality. Okay, so when we come on social media, we put out the best. When I come before you on camera, I put on my makeup, I make sure I look my best, but it might not really be the same when I'm not in front of my camera. Okay, so what you see might not really be the same. What you see on social media might not just be the same. Okay, so we need to be careful when we are living our lives not to compare ourselves with people, because things are not always what the sixth lesson that I pulled out from this movie is the fact that success comes with a price. Okay, somebody said life will give you whatever you ask for it. Okay, so if you want success in life, you have to go for it. If you want success in life, you have to fight to get the success, but it comes with a price. It might be that you lose your friends along the way. Sometimes people lose their health because they are working 24 hours or maybe 22 or 20 hours a day just to become successful. Therefore, they run themselves to their early grave, or they become sick because of it. Sometimes people lose their families, the love of their families, because they are now more concerned about their jobs and making success than their families. Okay, so everything in life comes with a price. Success comes with a life, so with a price. So we want to be able to draw a line. We want to be able to have boundaries to say, okay, yes, I want the success, but not to the extent of losing my family, losing my health, losing my loved ones just because of it. Because at the end of the day, success and money is not everything, and that's the last lesson I drew up from this movie. Okay, success and money is not everything. Okay, so you can have the whole world, you can have everything that you need, but at the end of the day, you might not be happy. Okay, so this guy in question, the guy that won the $46.5 billion, okay, came out of the house, and when he came out, his mom was already dead. Was it worth it? I don't think so, because he went to risk his life so that he can come out to save his mom. But when he came back, it was already too late. His daughter, who he wanted to have access to, had already gone to America, to the US, with his stepwife, his ex-wife, and her husband. Okay, so was it worth it at the end of the day? So he spent the next 1 year living miserably, thinking about what happened in the house, thinking about the trauma, thinking about the people that died just for him to have that money, thinking about his best friend that died also because of him. Okay, so at the end of the day, money is not everything. It's important to have a balance. It's important to have boundaries. Draw a limit. So yes, be desperate. Yes, make the right choices. Yes, and have a motive. Okay, but it's important that we draw a line. Okay, be happy, be successful, but make sure you have the other things that matter in life as well. So these are just a few tips I thought I'll bring out to you today. I hope it makes meaning to you. I want you to leave a comment for me in the comment box and tell me which of these lessons resonate more with you. Okay, but thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share with your friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.